All right, I cave in. Here is my second most requested person to react to. Let's see what this fake gamer, because we all know that the Dreamcast guy ain't a real gamer. He'll literally play a game for like maybe 10 minutes to an hour and then give a review like he actually played the game. But let's get into what he has to say about Doom the Dark Ages.
Hey there gamers, Dreamcast Guy here, and today we're talking about Doom the Dark Ages because we just had the first weekend of the game itself, and typically...
Okay, this is actually my first time watching one of his videos, and I can already sit there and say he is already annoying me. I do not know what's going on with your whole hand signals, but you can definitely tell that those hand signals are forced. It would not surprise me if he has something prompting him in front of him, telling him what to do like that.
This is when player numbers spike. This is when we get a chance to see how much of a success or a failure a game actually was. And I have to admit that I'm surprised to say that it does look like Doom the Dark Ages flopped, and I have to say that
it's a possibility that it might have flopped, but we don't 100% know. What everyone's going off of is the Steam charts. No one's taking into account what the Xbox Game Pass people are playing on that one is. I guarantee you a lot of people are probably playing on there because this game is at a high price at $70. Now, I have not beaten it yet, so I can't sit there and say if it's an amazing game or not. From what I've been hearing, it's only about a 12-15 hour game, so if that is true, absolutely not. I do not think it's worth $70. I am very consistent about this. You need at least for your first playthrough, you need at least a 20-hour campaign time to justify a $70 game. If it does not hit 20 hours for your first single player playthrough, then automatically it doesn't matter. It does not make it a $70 game then. Now, if it had a multiplayer aspect to it, that might have sat there and helped out, but since it doesn't, nope, already not even worth it.
this to me is just kind of mind-blowing because it seemed like it had so much marketing, so much hype, so much conversation. It was at every showcase and stuff. And also,
yeah, but then people found out how much this game is, how long this game is, and they're like, oh, well, that's not worth the $70 price tag. And generally, from what I've been seeing, a lot of Doom games, people wait until they go on sale to sit there and buy them because they tend to go on sale pretty quickly, you know, with Bethesda.
it's the newest game in the Doom trilogy. Doom 2016 had a massive fan base. Doom Eternal is considered by a lot of people to be the best shooter of all time.
Yeah, but you also have to understand that those two games were priced a lot better, and Doom Eternal itself came out during the pandemic, so that's not really fair to compare this one that's at a $70 price tag compared to the other ones.
Why is it that the Dark Ages seems to have failed?
The stats haven't come out yet, so we have no idea if it's actually failed or not. This still has a chance to sit there and make it. You never know.
Now we're going to talk about it. We're going to take a look at some current player numbers and stuff, because I do almost think that this is indicative of a growing problem with a lot of games that are so high budget and really just don't seem to...
High budget has nothing to do with it. What are you talking about? Now I can see why everyone calls you a fake gamer. But no, the high budget has nothing to do with it. When you sit there and look at the other Doom games, they're generally not that long. And then you look at this game, everyone knew it wasn't going to be that long. It's only like a 12, 15 hour game. So why would you sit there and pay $70 for a 12, 15 hour game when you can wait a couple of months and it's probably going to go down in price anyways? So unless you have Game Pass, in my opinion, it's not worth it to pay $70 for.
This is a bunch of tweets. I pulled up a bunch of stuff I want to take a look at, but part of it is just the fact that I wonder how much of this is the Game Pass effect. People have been discussing the fact that...
Yeah, I was actually wondering that myself. That might be a possibility, because when you sit there and look at what we've got on Game Pass recently, we've gotten so many games on Game Pass. I think that when it comes down to it, people are just going to get them on Game Pass. Like, when you got an amazing service like Game Pass, there really is no reason to sit there and get them if you're able to get them on Game Pass. Like, why would you?
Sometimes with games, this is the first Doom to launch day and date into Game Pass. Now,
yes, but you're also comparing this to Doom Eternal, which released during the pandemic, and that's not a fair comparison.
People debate about the Game Pass effect, about if you're getting a game for free, how much that's going to affect the...
Oh my God, what is up with this guy's hands? Is it me, or does it seem like it's just so forced? Nothing feels natural about this guy. I don't know, like, you can tell he's reading from a script, that I understand, but everything feels so forced. Nothing feels natural whatsoever. when I look at him, I don't even get a gamer guy feel from him. At least with Harmon, at least even though you get a fanboy, at least you get that he's a gamer.
Full price sales. If you're paying $70, $80, $100 for a game, how many people instead are going to go, oh, I'll get it on Game Pass? Or how many people say, oh, it's on Game Pass, it must suck? I do see that talking point. Now, obviously...
No, I don't think it's everybody either, but I do think a significant amount of people are playing this on Game Pass. Like, everybody's going off of the Steam sales chart. Like, no one's taking into account the Game Pass. No one's taking into account the PS5 sales. So we don't know. We haven't gotten all the data yet.
That's not every single game. There are games that still sell, like Expedition 33 launched on Game Pass and is still a monumental success. But
yes, but that game was sold at $50. Here, Nintendo, take notes for once. This is why you don't overprice your games and put them in a price bracket where they shouldn't be in.
These numbers are very provably bad. It had 31,000 concurrent players on Steam. Doom 2016 had 44,000 concurrent players, and Doom Eternal had over 100K. Now, I have to say that when I see this...
Well, of course, yeah, you're going off of the Steam, but of course they would have over 100,000. Why is that? Because it was during the pandemic, right during the height of the pandemic. So, of course, there would have been a higher player count.
It seems bleak, but I think a lot of this does come down to the fact that people are blaming it on a lot of, in my opinion, tinier issues. Doom the Dark Ages is provably a slower game. The whole motto of Doom the Dark Ages is stand and fight instead of trying to zip line around or doing dashes and stuff.
Okay, I was trying to give you a little bit of time to talk, but did you say the problem is with tenure? That makes no damn sense.
For the most part, it is about parrying blows, about trying to really melee down people with your flail and stuff like that. And I do enjoy it. I think that even though I gave it an 8 out of 10, I'm at the end of my second playthrough of Doom the Dark Ages.
I somehow do not believe you. When I look at you, I do not think gamer. I think Harmon is more of a gamer than you are.
It is technically the worst of the current era Dooms, but even then, it's by the tiniest margin.
Well, maybe so, but at least it's not one of the worst fake gamers on YouTube like you.
But going even beyond that, high system requirements and the lack of composer mech. Now, this is stuff that has become very much a problem, which is that it is ray tracing required. This game, it requires an immense amount of power from your system, and it also makes it where if you're trying to play it on Steam Deck, because you can't turn off ray tracing, this game is a real power sucker. And
well, I haven't had a problem playing it on my laptop. It's been playing perfectly fine. I guess my laptop must be more powerful than a Steam Deck.
Also, just the fact that, honestly, it doesn't run particularly well just in general when it tried to play on a handheld. And also, I'll be honest, I am missing Mick Gordon. But look, my thing is that when I see the combat of this game, somebody made this great edit where one of the things the game does is whenever you do a big parry, a big...
So why are you using other people's footage? If you supposedly have already done your first playthrough, why didn't you use any of your footage?
Counter blow, anything like that, the game slows down for dramatic effect. Personally, I love it. I have seen people complaining about it though, saying that it hurts the pace of the game that you're constantly going into slow-mo over and over again.
Well, it's impossible to make everybody happy. If you don't want to use it, don't parry then.
This edit has become incredibly popular where people are saying, I wish this was an option. I wish I could tell the game, hey, I know how to parry. Hey, I know what I'm doing. Hey, let me just choose the pace of it.
Of course, what do I expect from a fake lazy gamer like you? You know, supposedly you've done your first playthrough. You're not going to sit there and use your own footage. Of course, you have to take another person's footage. Now, they probably gave you permission, but if you're such a gamer, why don't you ever use your own footage?
Something about the Dark Ages has just failed to capture the attention of gaming.
I love how you're making all of these claims, but you haven't been looking at the Game Pass, people playing on Game Pass. You haven't looked at the PS5 sales, and you're sitting here making all these claims. Well, you know what? You do sit there and claim that you do real reviews, and we all know you don't do those.
Yes, it is having decent reviews. I actually decided to pull it up on Steam, but this 86 positive reviews, to me, it's not even about the positive reviews. It's the fact that it has about 9,000 reviews. Why is it that nobody is buying the game? Why is it that nobody seems to be excited about it?
Because unfortunately, it's at too high of a price. $70 is too much for a 12 to 15 hour game.
I do honestly think a lot of it just comes down to the fact that
That's what you get for thinking. I don't recall any of us asking what you thought.
right now, stuff is so damn expensive.
Finally, he said it. At least someone on here has an IQ above room temperature.
Maybe I'm being too bleak. Maybe I'm being too grand and contextual about it, but
Stop using big words. You don't look smart enough to understand them.
there have been more and more studies that there are people, even hardcore gamers, are buying 1 or 2 games a year instead of 4 or 5 or 6 games a year. People are buying 1 to 2 games a year.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain the average gamer is playing more than 2 games a year, and I guarantee you they got some type of subscription service.
And I think that it's starting to become that thing where if your choices are Doom the Dark Ages, which is a good game, but it's about 15 hours long, and it doesn't really have that replayability. There's not a ton of collectibles. There's not a lot of stuff. You can 100% platinum it pretty damn easily.
Yeah, that has something to do with it. But also another thing that has to do with it that I don't think people are taking into the reviews on, which they should be, is if you look at the physical copy on the PS5, they might be the same on the Xbox, but I've only ever heard people on the PS5 complain it's not even a full game on the disc. It's a download code, which, you know what? Hey, I blast Nintendo for it. I'm going to keep that energy the same. That is bullshit, Bethesda, and you know it.
Or if your options are to buy something like Expedition 33, a $50 game that I've now put almost 100 hours into.
Does anybody actually believe that he put 100 hours into that before he reviewed it? Or do you even believe that he even beat that game before he reviewed it? Someone let me know down in the comments.
It does become that thing where people start to say, okay, why this? Why Doom? Why even care about it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just went and decided to play it on Game Pass.
I'll admit that I'm sort of bad about this as well, which is that I'm fascinated by the dumpster fires. I'm perpetually fascinated whenever a game seems like it's going to take over the internet, and then it just doesn't. But
well, of course you would be. I would too, technically. You want to know why? Because it's going to get us views. If everybody expects something to be good and we're not going to get as many views for it, we're not going to sit there and do a video. There's no point in it.
I almost think that my point of view is the fact that there is this special extra flavor, this touch that a lot of games are lacking now, which is that they don't seem to capture the attention of the audience.
No, that is not it. It could have been one of the most amazing games, and a lot of people are not going to buy it just because of the $70 price tag. You know what? If the stats come out and show that pretty much nobody played on Game Pass, then I will sit there and concede this game was a flop. But I still believe that a lot of people probably played it on Game Pass, and that should count.
Maybe it's just that I'm going outside my bubble, but it does seem like, in general, the internet...
Yes, fake gamers like you definitely go outside their bubble. Jesus Christ, how much time do I have left on this? 4 damn minutes. Oh, why do my subscribers hate me sometimes? You know, react to when they said, Jesus Christ. You know, I did not wake up today wanting to stare at for 2 hours at a fat ginger fuck like him.
We've seen less fan art, less cosplay, less fan edits, less people capturing gameplay and turning it into a meme, less people doing silly wojacks of the Doomslayer. And I almost think that there is a marketability.
What are you talking about? I can't even go on my phone right now without seeing. I can flip through the shorts, and within 20 flips, I'm going to sit there and land on a Doom the Dark Age something.
To the meme factor of taking a game and blasting the soundtrack, the Mick Gordon Dooms. People used to do all sorts of memes where like a normal person's doing a normal thing and you're blasting the Doom soundtrack. I feel like the Dark Ages never managed to drum up that silly excitement that is actually mandatory for the game itself. It just...
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you. I think there has been plenty of excitement for it, but I think that $70 price tag scared a lot of people away, especially when they found it was like 12, 15 hours long, and you can get on Game Pass for like $14 a month. I just think a lot of people went over there. Now, if they come out and say, oh, barely anybody played it on Game Pass, I will concede. And trust me, I don't want to do that. I really don't want to sit there and tell Harmon that he was right and I was wrong.
Doesn't have that raw love that the other games did seem to have.
Just like you when it comes to playing video games?
I also see these very, 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 very long posts about, hey, this is what it's failing at. It's lost that. There's too much talking. There's not enough stuff. It's not about one man standing against hell.
Well, maybe I haven't gotten far enough into the game, but that is barely any talking. From what I've heard, he only ever says one word through the whole damn game.
It seems like the Dark Ages ramps up the story more than internal, But with all these new characters, why should I care? What's next? Prehistoric Doom? Doom Samurai Wars? I think you see my point.
I mean, Samurai Wars don't seem too bad, but I think we've got enough Japanese setting games.
I was excited at first like everyone else, but the more I saw the story, the less I cared. Unfortunately, Doom will never be what it was before. It's too mainstream.
Well, there was no way this game was going to be nearly as successful as Doom Eternal. You know how hard that is to accomplish something like that? It came out during the pandemic. All those games that came out during that time is going to be very rare for them to reach those levels again.
Don't mind me, I'll just be playing Doom 2. I think this stuff is interesting to me because,
well, like I said before, no one asked you what you were thinking.
yes, just comparing it to Doom Eternal numbers is not telling the full story, obviously.
Well, at least he finally said it. At least he said that you can't compare the Doom Eternal numbers. Okay, I'm done with this video. Well, that's it for my reaction. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with me or not. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay vigilant.